Shalom. First thing and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. News in this gospel abroad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. This is from Kim Iverson, which is basically, she's like an investigative journalist, at least from my opinion. And she's basically going into the floods and what transpired in Texas on the 4th of July when those floods hit central Texas. And she was basically breaking down on how they found out that there was cloud seeding in the area like a day or two before the event took place, which makes a lot of sense as to how these floods rose 26 feet in 46 minutes, which is, is out of the norm, to say the least. But we understand that there was a nefarious play that was involved in this ordeal. And, thanks to Esau Edom, the so-called white man, we understand that, Yahweh Shai uses these particular methods in order to bring judgment on the planet Earth, But anyway, with that being said, play a couple of minutes of the video. We'll get a couple of precepts and that'll be that. But the Lord he's moving, he's moving quick. So like they always say, you blink, you're going to miss something.
Which is just absolutely terrible. And just 2 days earlier, a private company was literally seeding the clouds over that same region. But don't worry, says the media, definitely no connection. Just a coincidence. Move along. Nothing to see here, except NBC News now confirms the cloud seeding actually did happen. The timeline lines up, and now we're learning these weather modification programs are funded with millions in federal dollars, taking place in 9 states and firing chemicals into the sky and ground with zero public oversight. And yet, if you ask questions, you're a conspiracy theorist. Watch this.
You might have seen posts or videos connecting cloud seeding to what is happening in Texas. And then earlier tonight, the CEO of a weather modification company confirmed that planes in Texas did release silver iode into the atmosphere 2 days before the floods. But he also explained why he says scientifically it does not mean that the two events are connected. Watch this.
We're talking about like sub-centimeter amounts of precipitation, be it in snow or rain from every event, which in aggregate can mean hundreds of acre feet, which is very consequential for farmers and ecosystems, but cannot come close to causing flooding unto itself.
I emphasize again, it is free to join my community. The stocks I share are also free. The techniques and strategies I teach.
And NBC News climate reporter Chase Kane joins us now. Chase, any conspiracy always starts with like a thread of truth here. Can you explain the science? Like, what is cloud seeding, first off, and how is it being used in Texas?
Yeah, so cloud seeding is really this idea for farmers of like, hey, there's some moisture up there in the clouds. Is there a way that we can get it out of the clouds down here to the surface to help farmers? Because water vapor that's in the air needs something to grab onto, which is often like smaller than the tip of a pen. So you're thinking like pollens, particles of pollen or dust or even air pollution. So you see this graphic here. Basically what they do is they fly planes up there to give the water vapor something to grab onto. So it's a combination of silver iodide and salt, actually. And so the water vapor forms around that. Eventually it gets heavy enough and then falls to the surface of rain. So when that happens, we're talking really small amounts of rain. In fact, scientists have been debating for decades whether or not this is actually very effective to do. So even when it does work, Gotti, we're not talking about a lot of rain, certainly not the amount of rain that they saw in Texas last week.
And the timing of it, 2 days before, I mean, again, anybody online that seems to be an expert these days would say, well, no, this is what, started the flood or possibly like supercharged the soil. So it was.
And this is why we tell you can't trust these people. Okay, the pale-faced male, his brothers affectionately call him. Look at this guy. He looks like a total fucking degenerate, man. Okay, he looks like a real demon, a real devil. And you can't trust these men, all right, because they have their definite hatred for the Lord's creation. They hate Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, to say the least. So you think they're going to harbor in pride in his creation? No, they're going to try to destroy it because they want to create a pseudo-agenda to fit their benefit. Okay, these people don't care about the Most High and His Son because they're not of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So you got a guy like this that runs your corporations and makes billions of dollars off your misery, and he's poisoning the very air that you have to breathe in order to survive. This is the world we live in. This is why the scriptures say the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, man. All right. Matter of fact, this is Proverbs 12. I'm gonna come back to what's that, Proverbs 12, and I'm gonna start at verses 1. It says here, whosoever loveth instruction loveth knowledge, but he that hated reproof is brutish. And Esau, he's very brutish. Okay, he hates reproof because, you know, he's against Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Totally. You know, and the spirit of the Lord is going to root him out of the earth. And this is what we're seeing, and this is why he's losing his marbles. It says, and a good man obtaineth favor for the Lord, but a man of wicked devices will he condemn. Yeah, and this is a wicked device because they're using cloud seeding, geo-engineering. Okay, there's another movie coming out this year called Geostorm, which is, I believe, is a follow-up to the 2017 movie, Geostorm. I think, what's his name, Gerard Butler, is that him, if I'm not mistaken? But he played in it. And basically, I believe he was like some type of scientist or something, and then they found out how to weaponize the satellites in space to create storms wherever they wanted to create on the planet Earth. And this is the result of these wildfires and floods and, you know, tornadoes and hurricanes and all this other stuff that we're seeing transpire. Okay, it was through Esau's left-hand means, is the wicked devices. All right. It says a man should not be established by wickedness. And Esau is established his society off wickedness because everything around us is based in wickedness, man. Okay, from the people, the foods, the idolatry. Hell, even your television is spying on you, man. Sending reports and information back to government authorities to get you roped up. This is the world we live in, okay? We live in a dystopia, man, all right? Which is soon to be, to get worse. But it says a man should not be established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous should not be moved, all right? And when we get in our kingdom, we're not going to operate and we're not going to smite the earth and continue madness. We're not going to abuse creation. We're not going to abuse Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai's methods of living, okay? Because if this devil kept the commandments and followed instructions, then, you know, the world would be a beautiful place, but the world is in total chaos. I mean, literally the whole entire world is burning. It's burning, you know. So this website here, of course, Geo-engineering watch. It goes into Dane Winnington, geoengineeringwatch.org, and he goes into how cloud seeding and genetically modifying the weather has been a thing for some time. Okay, I believe even during the time of Vietnam, they found out a way on how to manipulate the weather. So how much more now, you know, 50 odd years later? It says engineering winter fog 90-second alert. I remember at the beginning of the year, or maybe like last year sometime towards the end, we had about a week and a half of dense fog. You know, and it was just weird. It's just like this thick ass fog. I'm just like, where is this coming from? And it was just like sudden, you know. Bum cyclone. California rainy season begins with the bum cyclone. Major storm drops record rain down trees in Northern California. And these are basically all stories of them using chemical warfare on the weapon and the people, because, you know, the shit they're spraying in the air is coming down on the people, and we're breathing it, and ultimately it's getting in the crops, and that's why the trees look dehydrated, man. Okay, hell, even the trees are suffering. And I'm surprised around the house in my backyard, they've been cutting down a lot of trees, but the trees back there in the backyard, they've seemed to have grown exceptionally. You know, they cover you can't even see through the trees because they've grown so much, which is a beautiful thing. But even then, when you look at the leaves, it looks like they're dried. It looks like a waxy substance, like they're dehydrating, man. You know, because they're breathing in the chemicals that we're breathing in, because trees are live organisms. Okay, the earth is a living abode, man. Okay, the earth is a living organism, and this man is totally destroying it. Verse 5, the thoughts of the righteous are right, but the counsel of the wicked are deceit. All right. The words of the wicked are to lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright should deliver them. All right. Go to Isaiah 14 And I'm going to start at verses 5. It says, Yahweh have broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. The scepters goes into like the power. All right. It says he who smote the people in wrath with the continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindered. Right. It says he ruled in anger through wars, manipulation, propaganda. Okay. Death, destruction, chemical warfare. All right. Pseudo policies. The New World Order. This is ruling the nations in madness. All right, because and that by default proves that it's the Edomite in power, because it says that war was going to be continual in his heart. And everybody knows the history of Esau and going back into Cain and Tubal Cain and his descendants all the way down to Esau, to the modern day coming cracker today. Their result is war and violence and aggression. This is why the nations are mad, man. But it says here, the whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no fellow has come up against us. Yeah, but this man has to be brought down first, because once he's taken out of power, everything is going to rejoice. The trees are going to sprout. The fields are going to give forth its increase. Okay, the skies are going to heal. The atmosphere is going to heal. All right, there's not going to be any type of haze off in the horizon, because even on a clear day, you still have a ton of haze in the kingdom. I mean, in the atmosphere, because for the simple fact he's spraying all this madness in the air. That's why Texas got hit the way it hit, 26 feet in 46 minutes. That's crazy, man. That's nasty work right there. And it gets worse.
Hydrophobic, take us through the timeline here.
Yeah, that's a really important point, Gotti, because this cloud seeding, it works within like 15 minutes, half an hour, maybe an hour, and then that's it. So that was done 2 days before. So the CEO saying this, other scientific research establishes that cloud seeding isn't going to trigger something like this, certainly not 2 days after they were doing it. They were only up in the air cloud seeding for about 20 minutes because, again, it's targeted to a pretty small area of land, which was not even over where the worst of this flooding was, Gotti. So we're talking 30 minutes to an hour, certainly not 2 days in advance.
Okay. So that's what so certainly there was no possibility. Let me just read for you this. This is also a mainstream news article saying there's no way that this is possible. Fact check, Texas floods, cloud seeding theories dismissed. Conspiracy theorists have blamed the devastating flash floods in Texas on cloud seeding, a technique used to chemically induce rainfall. Scientists have dismissed the theories as baseless. A DW fact check, which, by the way, one thing to note about that NBC video is that they had the founder of the company that is accused of doing the cloud seeding 2 days before, and you notice that of course, the CEO of that company is saying, no, of course our cloud seeding wouldn't have caused a catastrophic flood that took over 100 lives. What do you think the guy's going to say? I mean, why would you even ask him as if he's the expert? He's obviously going to cover for himself and say, we had nothing to do with this massive, tragic loss of life event. I mean, why would they even ask him? But here's the article. It says over 100 people have now been confirmed dead following flash floods in central Texas over the weekend, including 27 young campers and staff at a local girls' summer camp. It's just absolutely tragic and heartbreaking that this happened. And it just, just the video.
That's what we just read in Proverbs 12 chapter, man. Deceit is in his tongue. Deceit, because like she mentioned, why would this guy expose himself? He's not going to tell the truth. He's not going to tell you that, we're deliberately trying to wipe out billions of people. They're not going to tell you that. But it's clearly obvious, man, because, I mean, people's health has been declining since the inception of these chemicals, man. Okay, go back to Agent Orange. Go back into Operation Sea Spray. Look at what they did to St. Louis in the 50s. And not only St. Louis, look at the lead pandemic. Major cities like Philly, St. Louis, Chicago, Cleveland, Ohio, and find out that Chicago, Illinois had some of the highest grossing lead levels in the country in urban population. Because remember, those high-rise, those projects, they had several housing projects that was built in Chicago in the 50s and 60s, man. And that those things wasn't up the code, so to speak. They used the cheapest cinder block and that glossy paint, all that got lead in it, man. And that's why Jake grew up with a lot of cognitive dysfunction. Why Jake is aggressive, You know, why they have ADD, ADHD. You know, they have learning disabilities. We all were subjected to that, man. That's why Jake is all messed up. You know, they're not growing. They don't have their full potential, and it affects the men twice as worse as the women. So that was designed because they're trying to put an end to the bloodline of our nation, man. Because they know the power starts with the man, the Israelite man. They understand that. All right.
As the water just came out so fast. I mean, nobody had a chance. Unfortunately, despite meteorological professionals explaining in news outlets all over the world how and why such devastating flooding occurs, which of course they say climate change, right? That's their reasoning always. Parts of social media have become breeding grounds for disinformation. One popular conspiracy theory, which has been given credence by current and former U.S. political figures, including Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene and former National Security Advisor General Mike Flynn, concerns cloud seeding, the practice of chemically inducing rainfall from clouds in areas affected by drought. Here is Marjorie Taylor Greene. And she says, I am introducing a bill that prohibits the injection, release, or dispersion of chemicals or substances into the atmosphere for the express purpose of altering weather, temperature, climate, or sunlight intensity. It will be a felony offense. I've been researching weather modification and working with the Legislative Council for months writing this bill. It will be similar to Florida Senate Bill 56. We must end the dangerous and deadly practice of weather modification and geoengineering. I think that sounds reasonable. I mean,
they're not going to do it because at the end of the day, there's an agenda. I mean, you can say all that all you want. We want to end it. Man, y'all been screaming that for the last two. This guy, Bobby Kennedy or Robert Kennedy, whoever the hell this dude is, he's been talking about, well, yeah, we're going to put an end to it. And, you know, when Trump was going up for president, they're talking about, you know, they're going to fine governors and all this other stuff because they allow chemtrailing. For one thing, that's a federal mandate. So, I mean, that's not solely a state issue. Okay, that's coming from your higher ups. And the fact that this guy, Robert RFK Jr., these people have been playing in your face for the longest, you know, telling you what they're going to do, and they don't do a damn thing for you, man, but make your lives even worse. Yeah, well, we're going to get red number 40 out of the Fruit Loops. Oh, that's a big W for the people. Oh, yeah, you've been poisoned off colored foods or food coloring in your food for the last 50 years. All of a sudden now he wants to get it out when they have the country got cancer, turbo cancers, and forever chemicals in their bodies that they can't possibly get rid of. Now you want to take yellow number 40 or red number 40 out of Doritos. Like, nigga, sit down somewhere, man. Okay, it's not that complicated. It's just easily as finding these corporations that's putting the food, the chemicals in your food and been done with it. You can get literally, I mean, out of all the shit that's in production now, I mean, yeah, you won't be able to change that, but literally within weeks, you can change the food supply in America if you just stop putting chemicals in it. It doesn't take that long, you know, but that's not the point. Esau wants to destroy the human. He wants to destroy the Israelites. He wants to destroy anything that's attached to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, man. All right, that's why we call this man a devil. He's a demon, you know. Sirach 42, and I'm going to start at verses 15. It says, now I will remember the works of Yahweh and declare the things that I have seen, and the words of the Lord are his works. Yeah, because the Lord intended this thing to be a perfect, a utopia, a paradise, you know, which everything that's happening is according to the will. But we're getting back to that. We're going to go back to that utopia, a paradise on earth. The scriptures say, let on earth as it is in heaven. So the Lord is going to bring the order of the heavens back to the earth, and it's going to be beautiful, man. All right, it's going to be a paradise. I mean, it's the earth. The earth is already a beautiful abode to live on, but we haven't even explored 1% of it. But wait till we get in the kingdom. All right, we're going to really see what this creation can bring forth. We're really going to test the fabric of this creation because we haven't enjoyed our creation, man. Okay, we're merely slaves. We're prisoners on this planet, man, because we can't do the things that's required for us to live conductive lives. We can't do it, you know. Only thing we know is people is getting up, go to work, pay bills, pay taxes, get oppressed, you know what I'm saying, get in trouble, and play, stop, repeat, or whatever they want to call it. That's just what it is. You know, ain't nothing glorious, ain't nothing satisfying about this thing you call life. This ain't life. This is a prison sentence, man. You know, 5 days out of the week, sometimes 6 days out of the week, you stress because you got to work 2 jobs. That ain't no way to live, man. You can't even go out and enjoy the weather because you're gonna get bombarded with chemicals. Wow. And it says, the sun that giveth light looketh upon all things, and the work thereof is full of the glory of Yahweh. But this devil is destroying it. It says, the Lord have not given power to his saints to declare all his marvelous works, which the Almighty Lord firmly settled, that whatsoever is might be established for his glory. But it says, he seeketh out the deep in the heart and considereth their crafty devices, man. It says, for the Lord knoweth all that may be known, and he beholdeth the signs of the world. And we're in the end now, all right? So this place is at its last leg. It just seems like this man is, it's just like, you know how you're so close to the edge, but you tiptoeing up that hill. It's just like we're in a stagnant point. Like we heard some about Iran and China, not China, Iran and Israel and America, and all of a sudden it's not even in it. I mean, they're talking about it, but it's not top news anymore. You know, even my masseuse, I was dealing with my massage lady yesterday, man, and she was even telling me, she said, yeah, we don't get the real news here in America. I said, you damn right. We don't get half of what's going on because everything is filtered, heavily filtered. Like I can type something in Google and it'll give me something totally different versus somebody else types it in. It's just a lot of different information. Okay, you typing things on YouTube. And I think that comes from heavily being shadow banned. I notice I'm heavily shadow banned on YouTube. And every social media site, I'm shadow banned. Like I can't even say the word nigga on TikTok without them finding me. But yet I'm seeing all types of obscenities and all types of stuff coming from these other pages and they don't get fined. Hell, on Instagram, I could say, shut up or be quiet. Are you sure you want to say that? You might consider editing your comment because posts have been reported like this before. I'm like, well, they ain't said nothing. But yet they can have a whole post of cussing people out and this and this and that. But when I put my little 2.5 cents in, and all of a sudden it's a freaking problem. So yeah, we're heavily censored. We're not getting the information that's required. Okay, you don't know what the hell is to come of the situation of Israel and Iran outside of what they put out there. You know? So we ain't getting the real deal. And the fact that we so heavily filtered and we're not getting the news, the real news, we really don't know what the hell is going on in totality because shit, he's hiding it from us, man. That's why the American person is so damn stupid. Last precept and I'll end it. Jake got to bust moves. Revelation 11. And I'm going to start at verses. Let's start at verses 18. It says, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead that they should be judged, that thou shouldest give reward unto the servants, the prophets, and to the saints, and to them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. So the Most High is getting ready to destroy this devil, man. I'm just ready to see it. You know, we said, yeah, the Most High is gonna do it. He's gonna do it, and he will do it. You know, but when we said, you know, we want it to be with an urgency. Like when we say the Most High is going to destroy this devil, we're looking forward to the Lord to take this nigga out tonight. You know, it kind of gets monotonous. You know, and it's not a bad thing because we understand it's on the Lord's time. But we've been saying he's going to destroy this devil. But I wake up and he's still in power. So it's like, okay, another day. It's like you're counting the days down, and that's it. You know. But, you know, the Lord is going to destroy this man, and we're comforted by that. And I have the utmost confidence that this man is literally at the end of his reign. He's not going too much farther. I can guarantee you that, man. But with that, all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Lord's will you edify. Until the next lesson. Shalom.